Leader of all works pay tribute to General Yakubu Goan, former military head of state, as he marks 90th birthday. Jigawa tanker blast, death toll climbs to 167. Residents react to new curriculum for secondary school. And on the international scene, Kenyan court rejects removal of deputy president. Very good evening and welcome to the News Hour on Trust Television. My name is Sagir Ibrahim. To details now, former President Olusegun Obasanjo, amongst others, has eulogized former head of state General Yakubu Goan, retired, on the occasion of his 90th birthday. Obasanjo said Goan deserved to be nationally celebrated for his contributions to keeping Nigeria as one. According to the former president, General Goan presided over the affairs of the country at the most critical time in history.
As head of state, your leadership was marked by several firsts. Your visionary leadership led to the creation of the Economic Commission of West African State ECOWAS, where we are today, bringing together all 16 countries in the region for economic and political cooperation. You created the National Youth Service Corps, the NYC. That's right. The only policy decision in the history of Nigeria that has endured all governments, a pointer to your remarkable vision and confidence in the youth and Nigeria's unity.
I look at the galaxy of distinguished men and women around. Only very few of them can claim to be eyewitnesses to your time in government, not to talk of your time in the army, that God has made you to be 90.
Oh, there you have it. Elsewhere, a total of 167 persons have so far lost their lives following Tuesday's fuel tanker explosion in Majia town in the Tora local government area of Jigawa State. The Jigawa State Governor Umar Namadi made the disclosure when the Kano State Governor Abba Kabir Yusuf paid him a condolence visit at the government house Duse on Thursday evening. He disclosed that no fewer than 67 persons are currently receiving medical treatment at various medical facilities within and outside the state. The governor expressed deep gratitude on behalf of the people of Jigawa State and thanked Kano State for its general support during this difficult time. He assured that the 100 million naira donated by the Kano State government would be judiciously used to aid the victims of the unfortunate incident and their families. And students at the College of Health Sciences and Technology in Jega, Kebbi State have set the residence of the provost, Haruna Seidu Sawa, on over an allegation of extortion. His house was set on fire and his vehicle vandalized during the violent protest. The protest erupted over allegations that the college management extorted 23 million naira from the students regarding index registration for 250 graduating students. Reports say the controversy originated from a newly introduced public health program, which was initially affiliated with the Reproductive Health and the Public Health Association of Nigeria. The college was said to have merged the program with the Department of Environmental Health to secure certification, leading to a demand for an additional 65,000 naira from each student for index registration, in addition to the 30,000 naira already paid. Accusing the management of extortion, the students responded violently by stoning vehicles and setting the provost residence on fire. And following the protest that erupted at the College of Health Sciences, Jega, on Thursday, Kebbi State government has ordered the closure of the school as well has constituted a 9-man panel of inquiry headed by the Permanent Secretary, Ministry for Higher Education, Hussaini Abdullahi Suru. While speaking to journalists on Friday, chairman of the panel, Abdullahi, said the panel's terms of reference is to identify the cause of the students' protest, the gang leaders, lecturers behind it, external forces, and to estimate the level of damage caused to the institution's property. The Commissioner for Higher Education, Isa Abubakar Tunga, said the closure of the college became imperative in view of the fact that if the demonstration was allowed to continue, it might regenerate tension and escalate to an uncontrollable stage. And joining us now from Kebbi to give more updates on this development, we have Trust TV reporter Isiaku Abdulaziz. Isiaku, good evening and welcome to the News Hour. So, the College of Health Science, it seems that the issues that's been going on there sort of increased with the constitution of a 9-man panel by the governor. Can you tell us what the situation is at the moment?
Yeah, the situation is calm, and as you have rightly said, the Ministry for Higher Education has set up a 9-man panel to investigate the immediate and remote causes of this incident. The incident happened yesterday while some of the students were on rampage as a result of issues they allegedly claim that the provost of the college has mismanaged the funds, and the courses they are supposed to seek for the exam are not national diplomas. They are just ordinary diplomas, and therefore most of their colleagues that have graduated from this school have gained, some of them have gained employment, and having checked their results, and they discovered they are just ordinary diplomas, and they were sacked from their various places of work. So that is why the students insisted on having a national examination, as far that is what they paid for at the beginning of their entrance of the school.
Okay, Siaku, the report is saying that the students were demanded to pay an additional 65,000 naira, after which their programs were merged with the Department of Environmental Health after paying an initial 30,000. Have we heard anything regarding any evidence that these students have to substantiate this claim?
Well, the students are even nowhere to be found now because the school has been closed. So it is allegation that the school authority is demanding for additional payment by the students, but we are unable to substantiate because the news just broke in, and every other student has been asked to vacate the school immediately, as reportedly authorized by the Honorable Commissioner for Higher Education, Isa Abubakar Tunga.
Okay, Isaku, finally, the students carried out a mob action and the state government seems to have reacted to it. However, what are we hearing from the school and lecturers and staff of the school pertaining to this allegation especially? Have they reacted to it? Have they, probably argued a case of innocence or otherwise? What word have you heard from lecturers and staff of the institution?
Well, it's still very sketchy, and we cannot rightly jump into conclusion because, matters of allegations of this nature are very, very dicey, especially when it has to do with the relationship between a lecturer and a student. So, but by and large, the state government, as you rightly said, has set up a 9-man committee, which among the terms of reference it has is to find out the immediate and remote causes of this matter, and in fact to also find out Is there any influence by the lecturers, or is there any external forces that are instigating these students to cause this mayhem on the school? But the fact that is known is that the students are unhappy, and they have burned down the provost residence and have also vandalized his vehicle.
All right, Yakubu Abdulaziz, thank you so much for the update on this development. Continue to monitor it, of course, as we'll touch base with you subsequently as more updates come up.
Thank you.
Have a good evening. Yes, that's Yakubu Abdulaziz, Trust TV reporter, giving us update from Kebbi State. Moving on now, Nigerians have continued to react to the new curriculum for education recently introduced by the federal government for primary school and secondary schools. The Minister of Education, Professor Tahir Mamman, has recently announced the introduction of the new curriculum expected to take effect from September 2025. Trust TV's Ado Musa gets the reaction of residents in Jos on the development. Here's the report.
According to the federal government, the new subject to address problems of learning crisis and employability, as the new skills acquisition will be introduced. The curriculum, if implemented, is also expected to have a multiplier effect, equipping students with 21st century skills. Reacting to the development, the residents of Jos said the introduction of the subject is a welcome development.
Curriculum of primary student or secondary student to also have a knowledge and skills whereby they will be creative and productive. It is a welcome development in our own economy that they will graduate having something on their brain that they will contribute to the country.
Federal government will follow the implementation process, step-by-step implementation process, then it is fine. So it is a welcoming development, and I pray honestly, and I sincerely pray that it will be followed through.
I think it's a very great welcome project because as a Nigerian, we know that the place of entrepreneurship, bringing up a lot of people to do skill acquisition so that they will learn traits for themselves. It's very key. With that, we know also it will even create more jobs and other things in the nation. So it will boost our economy even. So I guess it's a very positive and a welcome idea from the federal government.
Augustine Aziz, an associate professor at the Department of Social Science Education, University of Jos, has some reservations.
I have no problem with that, but how are we going to implement it? How do we intend to fund it? Where do we have experts that are ready and willing and to teach these subjects to our students? If after teaching them, are we going to give them starter packs? Are we going to give them capital for them to start what they have learned at secondary school level?
The university don also noted that currently university students take courses in entrepreneurship, but not yet yielding the desired results.
I'm a lecturer in the university. In universities, we teach students entrepreneurship as a GST, general study. No student in any Nigerian university graduates without doing entrepreneurship as a course. Now, our problem with that one is that students just go, they learn theory, no practical. At the end of the day, the idea of introducing entrepreneurship at tertiary school level was for students to learn entrepreneurship. Then even as students, they will be guided, they will be given some startup packs, helped with capital to see how they will go into their own small-scale businesses so that when they graduate, they will be able to be self-reliant, self-independent. We have not been able to implement that fully. We only teach them the theory in our universities. How will this one be different? That is my fear.
Nigerians are commending the federal government for the initiative, but express doubt if the program will come to reality, considering the past failures of laudable programs in the country. Ado Musa, Trust TV News, Jos.
A presidential candidate of the Labour Party in the 2023 election, Peter Obi, has criticized President Bola Tinubu for sending Vice President Kashim Shettima to represent him in Sweden. In a series of tweets on Friday, Obi carpeted the president for not proceeding to Sweden from France, lamenting the resources spent in having Shettima fly down there from Abuja. Peter Obi said the untold hardship that has been unleashed on the people as a result of some of his administration's policies is unimaginable, and the people need his urgent attention to pilot the nation out of this present situation. President Tinubu had left the country on October 2nd for a 2-week leave to the UK. It was later announced that he had moved to France. And meanwhile, ex-President Goodluck Jonathan has expressed concerns over the lapses in the nation's judiciary system. He also described some judgments of the election matters as a cone being turned upside down. Speaking at the 67th birthday of a senior advocate of Nigeria, Professor Mike Ozekome in Abuja, Jonathan said for democracy in Nigeria to grow, those at the bar and the bench should not be carried away by political influence. Jonathan, who is leader of the West African Elders Forum, on a pre-election assessment mission in Accra ahead of Ghana's presidential elections scheduled to take place on December 7, 2024, said in most other countries, people don't go to court, but in Nigeria, pre-election matters and post-election matters fill all the courts, and it does not give a good sign for democracy.
For PDP, exactly, of course, Baba knows, in the constitution of PDP, if you're a national officer, even your state cannot discipline you. Not to talk about a ward officers that are not even members of NEC, the National Executive Council. And we are saying that a ward chairman of a party can suspend and expel a natural chairman of a political party. I'm pleading with the Supreme Court to review that their judgment. Because that judgment has turned the cone upside down. And the political process, the democracy is wobbling. I don't want to go more, but let me just use this as an example. Baba, thank you for bringing me. Let me join you to congratulate Mike Ozekome, the wife, and the family for this 67th birthday celebration.
And ahead of the local government poll in Kaduna State on Saturday, sensitive and other election materials are being distributed to the 23 local governments in the state. The distribution of the material observed by party delegates, election observers, security personnel, and other stakeholders. The chairman of the Kaduna Independent Electoral Commission, Hajara Muhammad, assured voters of unbiased conduct of the election. Government had ordered restriction of vehicular movement from 6 a.m. to 4 p.m. within the state.
People should expect the poll to be open by 8 a.m. tomorrow morning, as everything is on course. As you can see, we are uploading our sensitive materials for dispatch to the local government areas. Already our non-sensitive materials have long been at the local government, and each local government is on top of its gear with all the activities. It's the normal election procedure which we have been talking about, and we are educating the electorate on it. Or where it is expected that the polls will be open by 8 a.m. and all electorates, that is the voters, are expected to go to the polling units with their PVC. They check their name, they queue in and ensure that their name is there, and they'll be issued a ballot paper after satisfying that they are registered in that polling unit.
And similarly, the Kaduna State Security Council has restricted movement throughout the state from 6 a.m. to 7 p.m. for the local government election slated for Saturday, October 19, 2024. This is to ensure peaceful, orderly conduct of the elections. According to a statement by the State Overseeing Commissioner of Internal Security and Home Affairs, Samuel Aruan, vehicular movement as well as commercial and other related activities which may constitute impediments to law and order are to cease within the period of the restriction. It said that only persons performing essential duties are exempted from the restriction and may move during the period with proper identification and clearance. The statement therefore advised residents to refrain from actions that could disrupt public peace. It also enjoined members of the general public to promptly report any observed acts which threaten law and order to security agencies and not to take laws into their hands. Also, the Kogi state government has announced the restriction of vehicular movement within the state between the hours of 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. on Saturday, 19th October 2024 because of the council poll slated for the day. The State Commissioner for Information and Communications, Kingsley Femi Fanwo, disclosed this in a statement on Friday to newsmen. According to him, the decision is to ensure a hitch-free council poll in the state and to guarantee the security of voters and citizens across the 21 local government areas of the state. He added that the state government has directed security agencies to enforce the order in the interest of the people and to ensure that offenders are punished. And elsewhere, a High Court of the Federal Capital Territory in Maitama has acceded to the request of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission to present 2 witnesses virtually in the trial of former Central Bank of Nigeria Governor Godwin Emefiele. In a ruling on Thursday, Justice Marianne Aneni granted EFCC's application in which it sought the court's permission to be allowed to field the witnesses who are currently abroad through video link. The EFCC is prosecuting Emefiele on a 6-count charge of unlawfully printing of new Naira notes, among others. The Federal Ministry of Works headquarters in Mabushi, Abuja, was gutted by fire earlier in the day. The incident, which occurred soon after workers resumed work on Friday, was attributed to a spark from a faulty circuit breaker on the ground floor. It was, however, quickly contained before much damage was done. Director of Press and Public Relations of the ministry, Mohammed Ahmed, while confirming the incident, said a minor fire incident occurred at 11:30 a.m. at Block A of the ministry. He said Station Commander, Federal Fire Service, Federal Ministry of Works headquarters responded quickly to put the situation under control by deploying available fire extinguishers. He added that a successful evacuation exercise of staff was also carried out. And the police in Kano have arrested 31-year-old Salisu Bala, who has been extorting and terrorizing the public under the guise of a police officer. A statement by the Kano Police Command spokesperson SP Abdullahi Haruna on Thursday said the fake policeman is a resident of Kurna quarters within Kano metropolis. He was trailed and arrested by members of Police Special Constabulary at Koki quarters, Kano, where he was sighted wearing a black uniform with a camouflage peak cap. He was said to have defrauded unsuspecting members of the public, destroying the image of the force. And elsewhere in Nasarawa, the State Command of the Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps has arrested 4 suspects over alleged kidnapping, raping, and cable vandalization. The Public Relations Officer of the command, Jerry Victor, made this known while parading the suspects in Lafia. Trust TV correspondent Abubakar Abdullahi brings details.
Parading the suspects before newsmen, the command public relations officer, Jerry Victor, said following a sting operation, a well-known kidnapper kingpin, popularly known as Shege, was arrested on 8 October in his hideout in Wama local government area. He said Shide and his accomplice, Mohammed Lawa, are the brains behind several adoptions in Nasarawa, Egon, Akwanga, and Wamba local government area of the state, and Shendam, Kwagwi areas of Plateau State. The PRO also said the command arrested the serial rapist Ali Yakubu for defiling an 8-year-old girl in Bakan City, as well as 2 suspects in Shabu in connection with the vandalism of high-tension poles in Lafia.
We also have Muhammad Nduma Shehu and Kabiru Idris, who specialize in vandalizing electrical cables and poles within Nasarawa state here. They were caught in the act, and of course we have some of the exhibits that is there. I'm going to show you. Of course, they also admit to the crime, and they will also be going to be charged to court for possible prosecution.
The NSCDC PRO said the suspects were caught in the act and stolen items recovered from them, maintaining that the suspects will be charged to court after investigations. Commander of the State's Command, Mohammed Kabir Uwanga, reiterated the command reserved to fish out criminals to ensure crime-free Nasarawa state.
Security agency, more especially the civil defense, we are doing everything possible to make sure that those that are here for legal businesses do it without any hitches. And anybody that comes here with an ultra mind, so you should get ready for us, because we won't allow them to do anything. We will be after them, more especially the vandals and those that are terrorizing people, that kidnappers are people. We are equal to that, their attacks, because our men are well trained for that.
He urged the public to be proactive in reporting criminals and their activities across the state in order to tackle their bad intentions.
And Fulani herdsmen in Zangon urban community in Zangon Kataf local government area of Kaduna State have raised alarm over alleged victimization and extortion by military personnel deployed under Operation Safe Haven in the area. The herdsmen, while speaking to Trust TV, appealed to the government to investigate the issue and bring the culprits to book. Here's the report.
Some residents of the community accuse one Captain Basharun of extorting money from them in exchange for their cattle, among other allegations.
A gabana ya zo ya kore shanu Alhaji Goma. Na ce mace ogaye ya kana korin shanu na ina za ka kai su?
In my presence, he took away cattle belonging to Alhaji Goma, and when I questioned his action, he did not bother to give me an answer. The next day after the incident, we went to the soldiers' camp to get the cattle, but he insisted that we pay a fine for damages for their farm. We argued that the soldiers brought the cattle to the farm, which eventually got damaged, but it fell on deaf ears. For peace to reign, Alhaji Goma gave me the money, and we paid the fine of 140,000 naira. They said not long after the incident, Captain Basharun seized their cattle again. Not long after the incident, Captain Basharu seized the cattle again, and I was the one who went to collect them because Alhaji Goma was not in town. I voiced my displeasure over his actions and the unfair treatment he is giving to Fulani in the community. Later that day, I was at home when some military police came from Jos, Plateau State. They said they were on a fact-finding mission and asked us to cooperate with them. The soldiers from Jos asked us what the soldiers in the area had been doing to us, and we told them everything about how the soldiers seize our cows and release them when we pay money. After we told them everything, they asked us to follow them to a soldiers' camp, where we repeated the same thing in front of the soldier in question. After they left, the officer threatened that he would deal with me and Alhaji Goma. According to them, on 10th September 2024, the soldiers fired some shots into the air that led to the set ablaze some houses in Kakwa village. One day, my children and my dogs were hiding our cattle when they encountered the officer. He was in company of two other soldiers, and they were holding guns. One of the soldiers shot in the direction of my children. The bullet barely passed my son and hit one of my dogs. Out of fear, I called one colonel I know from Jos and explained to him what happened, and he asked us that I send a video of the dog, which I did, and he sent it to the commander in Kafanchan. After that, I don't know what transpired between the captain and the commander in Kafanchan. On the 10th September 2024, the soldiers fired some shots in the air, and the next thing we saw was that houses were set ablaze in Kakwa village. Corroborating Ibrahim's story, Jafar Salihu, chairman, Bandarawo Youth Development Association Kaduna, accused the commander of conniving with the locals to trample on the rights of Fulanis in the area. As a leader, I went and saw with my eyes how houses were burnt, and I could only plead with them not to retaliate, but rather tell the world the kind of injustice they are facing, so that the authorities concerned can put an end to it, because we want peace. If not, if something bad happens, it will be said that the Fulani have attacked people, and we do not want that.
Don zaman lafiyan da ake bukata a yi, mu shi muke so, kuma shi muke yi yanzu.
Spokesperson Operation Safe Haven, Captain Zakom Samson, promised to investigate the allegation. They are calling on the authorities concerned to investigate the matter and possibly redeploy the soldier involved, as they are law-abiding citizens.
Well, there you have it. Also, the Lagos State Ministry of Environment and Water Resources has continued the removal of structures obstructing drainage channels in the state to tackle flooding. The ministry's commissioner, Tokumbo Wahab, disclosed this in a statement and videos shared on X on Friday. He said operatives of the Drainage Enforcement and Compliance Department of the Lagos State Ministry of Environment and Water Resources, alongside security operatives, continued its enforcement operations with the removal of contravening structures blocking drainages and canals along System 1 drainage channel in Arowojobe Estate. Wahab stated that the demolition is part of wholesome measures to prevent the problem of flooding, which has become almost intractable in the axis. And to other stories now. The House of Representatives has resolved to accelerate the consideration of the bill on the introduction of independent candidacy by referring it to the Special Ad Hoc Committee on Constitution Review. The private member bill was sponsored by Chairman House Committee on Media and Public Affairs, Akin Rotimi. Here's details.
Rotimi, while addressing House of Representatives press corps in Abuja, said the crucial legislation, which is a legacy bill from the previous assembly, was reintroduced for consideration following its first reading on Thursday, September 26, 2024. According to him, the bill proposes that for any citizen to contest the presidential election as an independent candidate, they must obtain the verified signature of at least 20% of registered voters from each of the 36 states.
We've had our seventh electoral cycle since the Fourth Republic, commencement of the Fourth Republic in 1999. And as we approach the eighth cycle, it's important for us to start to look at in what ways we can improve the electoral process, in what ways we can look at our democracy and seek ways to deepen inclusion.
The founder and chief executive officer of Electa, Ibijoke Faborode, said the recommittee of the bill is a progressive milestone. She added that the bill will significantly shape the future of the country's democracy if the bill is passed into law. She expressed enthusiasm at seeing the National Assembly unite in support of the bill, underscoring their dedication to a legislative agenda that promotes inclusivity.
The media, as the conscience of society, will be quite instrumental in helping the public interpret the provisions of the bill to ensure that people do not misconstrue the provision. And as I mentioned, it's such a pivotal piece of legislation that will further enhance, and advance our democracy. So we're counting, on the media, as we said, as the soul of society, to help us, publicize this, ensure that, the citizens understand the bill, and the citizens also see it as the citizens' bill.
Former President Muhammadu Buhari declined assent to the bill when it was passed during the 9th Assembly.
And River State Governor Siminalayi Fubara has urged judicial officers and all legal practitioners to be more dutiful in eliciting citizens' trust in the ability of the judiciary to confidently dispense justice according to law. The governor maintained that the judiciary must remain upright, independent, free and fearless if it must play its role as an important ally in the collective quest for human security and progress of any society. Governor Fubara gave the charge while speaking at the special court session organized to mark the opening of the 2024-2025 legal year at the Rivers State High Court premises in Port Harcourt. Here's the report. The governor said the judiciary must always be on the side of the law, no matter the pressure, which is why it is considered as the last hope of the common man.
As you start your new legal year, I wish to reiterate the need to have and sustain the citizen trust. Very important. When we were little and we see lawyers, not even judges, not magistrates, that I rarely see a judge, it's magistrate. You see them as God. That is the truth. Like I said, you are the God that we are saying. You are the one sitting on the throne of judgment. Please, let the Rivers people be proud and be bold to say, we trust you.
Governor Fubara noted that the judiciary in Rivers State has remained a crest of pride for being stable, independent, productively effective, and devoid of controversies often associated with its peers elsewhere. He assured that as a government, his administration will remain alive to its constitutional responsibilities to the state's judiciary. On his part, Onweze Okocha SAN, who spoke on behalf of Senior Advocates of Nigeria, expressed the hope that the courts in Rivers State will continue to discharge their duties to the best of their abilities to avert unnecessary delays that affect the just, efficient, and speedy dispensation of justice. Speaking on behalf of the 8 branches of the Nigerian Bar Association in Rivers State, the Port Harcourt branch chairman, Cordelia Eke, blamed legal officers for the deteriorating legal system, emphasizing that their wrong legal opinions and inability to condemn evil have contributed to making the judiciary the place for needless battles.
I declare that no legal practitioner should be castigated, condemned or vilified for advising that court judgments and court orders must be strictly obeyed and duly complied with.
Our justice system has become a battleground of sorts. The integrity of the judiciary is being tested to its fullest, and it is time for members of the bar and bench to show courage in the face of the storm and stand by their oath of office. The bar on its part promises to continue to protect our judiciary, not because they are infallible or because they are without fault. No, they are humans. But because they are the last hope of the common man, and if their walls are broken down and eroded, it means all will be lost for the society, of which we are an integral part.
Governor Fubara commended the Chief Judge of Rivers State for his progressive leadership and transformational strides. Meanwhile, the Rivers State government has approved a minimum wage of 85,000 naira for civil servants in the state. The head of service of the state, George Nweke, announced that the approval was granted by Governor Siminalayi Fubara during a closed-door meeting with labor leaders and senior government officials. Following the meeting, Nweke confirmed that the implementation of the new minimum wage will take effect immediately. On their part, the chairman of the joint negotiation team, Chukwu Emecheta, praised Governor Fubara for meeting the expectations of Rivers State workers. He expressed appreciation for the governor's commitment to the workforce. Also speaking, the chairman of the Nigeria Labour Congress in Rivers State, Alex Agwanwo, noted that the minimum wage will greatly alleviate the economic hardship faced by workers in the state. On the Federal Capital Territory, through its Public Health Department, has activated the Cholera Emergency Operations Center as part of surveillance and preparedness measures to handle any cholera outbreak in the FCT. Speaking while activating the Cholera Emergency Operations Center over the weekend, the Permanent Secretary of the FCT Health Services and Environment Secretariat, Ghana Adam, said the activation became necessary in light of the number of reported cholera cases across the 36 states. He noted that as an emerging city, the FCT is at risk of cholera and is taking proactive steps to prevent and contain the spread of the disease. Adam also assured that the Secretariat would spare no resources or efforts to prevent a cholera outbreak in the FCT. He directed that all relevant stakeholders be involved to develop effective, reliable strategies to prevent the disease. The Anambra State government has commenced the immediate evacuation of those living in riverine areas due to a rapid rise in water levels in the Niger and Benue rivers over the past few days. The Executive Secretary of the State Emergency Management Agency, SEMA, Paul Odenigbo, disclosed this while speaking with journalists in Awka, the Anambra State capital, on Thursday. The Nigeria Hydrological Services Agency issued a fresh alert urging communities along coastal lines to relocate without further delay. Odenigbo stated that as an emergency response agency, the state government has approved the necessary support to relocate people to safer areas and mitigate the worsening impacts of the floods as rainfall persists. He noted that in some local government, plans have been finalized to use boats to evacuate over 3,000 inhabitants willing to move to higher ground. Thanks for staying with the news hour on Trust Television. And now to business, where we have Yusuf Akogu standing by with updates.
The World Bank says it expects Nigeria's inflation to drop to 14.3% by 2027 as the country stays on course in its ongoing macroeconomic reforms that have elevated prices and deepened poverty. In its new Nigerian Development Update report, the Washington-based lender says headline inflation is projected to peak at an average annual rate of 31.7% in 2024, largely driven by the depreciation of Naira and increased gasoline prices. The bank admits that though the fiscal reforms are painful, they are needed to save the country from imminent collapse. Nigeria's inflation rate, reaching a 28-year high of 34.2% in June 2024, began to decelerate in July and fell to 32.15% in August, finding hope of respite for households and firms who have seen their purchasing power shrunk and gains eroded. But the spike has begun again as September data surged to 32.7% on the back of the about 50% new total increase in petrol prices across the country. The federal government has declared that electricity distribution companies must replace any meter phase out due to meter upgrade. It declared this through the Nigeria Electricity Regulatory Commission and clarified that though there is no directive to phase out Unistar meters as claimed, the meters will soon be out of operation due to an upgrade in technology and its users will not be able to vend. The Commission stated that any meter currently being replaced by discos must be substituted to ensure no disruption to customers' metering needs. As Nigeria struggles to close the 7 million metering gaps, some discos have insisted that customers must get new meters before a November 14 deadline. NGS closed the week in red as investors dump equities for cash. Leading the losers today is Aradel. Aradel gained 9.9% to close at 625 naira and 40 kobo per share. Deep Cap also down as well, 9.66% to close at 1 naira and 31 kobo per share. Champion PLC also lost 8.80% to close at 3 naira and 42 kobo per share. This has dragged down the index downward marginally though by 0.01%. Volume of trade there 358.85 million shares valued at 11.96 billion naira in a days of 6,719 did the exchanges among investors this Friday, the last trading day for the week. The top trading equities by volume: Japogo leader table, it traded 136.56 million shares there. United Bank for Africa UBA 38.60 million shares. Of course, Zenith Bank traded 27.92 million volume of shares Some equities also recorded gains, leading the gainers is Mark Nichols. Mark Nichols gained 10% to close at 1 naira and 43 kobo per share. UPL also gained 9.41% to close at 2 naira and 79 kobo per share. The White Darkon also gained 9.09% to close at 60 kobo per share there. And that's the highlight of stock trading as it went down this Friday on the floor of NGS. Let's see the global stock market and exchange rate data for today. And that's business. I am Yusuf Akogu.
Thanks to Yusuf for the business news. And now to the foreign. High Court in Nairobi has suspended the appointment by Parliament of Kindiki, a 52-year-old academic turned political heavyweight, as new deputy president. The move followed a case filed by Gachagua's legal team alleging his ouster has been unfair. Kenya's parliament on Friday unanimously voted to back President William Ruto's pick to replace his impeached deputy Rigathi Gachagua, even as a high court injunction threw the historic political process into disarray. In a fast-moving political drama, Gachagua was sacked by the upper house on Thursday night on accusations of stirring ethnic hatred and undermining the judiciary, charges he denied and vowed to fight in court. And Gabon will hold a referendum on November 16 on a proposed new constitution, a key step towards the return to a civilian regime which the military junta promised after a coup. The August 2023 coup put an end to 55 years of rule by the family of former President Ali Bongo Ondimba. The draft new constitution includes abolishing the post of prime minister and imposing a 7-year presidential term renewable once. According to an official statement by Lawrence Ndong, spokeswoman for the government, led by Bryce Oligui Nguema, the Council of Ministers on Thursday passed the bill, the last component of a transition initiated after the removal of Bongo. Interior Minister Kithure Kindiki was swiftly nominated to replace Apologies there. Let's now join Emmanuel Fashimi, who's standing by with sports news.
Nigeria under 20 men's team Flying Eagles suffered a 0-1 loss to Burkina Faso in their first game at the 2024 WAFU B Championship in Togo, which kicked off on Thursday. Despite playing out a goalless affair in the first half, the Flying Eagles succumbed to their opponents in the second half. Fadinu Abib Koulibaly scored the winning goal for Burkina Faso 4 minutes before the hour mark. The Flying Eagles' performance was disappointing for the entire 90 minutes as they failed to create any clear-cut chance. With the result, Burkina Faso are leading the 3-team Group B as Côte d'Ivoire are drawn by in the first round of matches. The defending champions will now need to win their last group game against Côte d'Ivoire on Thursday, which is set for Stade Municipal to qualify for the semi-finals. Meanwhile, before Flying Eagles' game, the Stallions will face Ivory Coast on Monday. The finalists will qualify for the 2025 AFCON to be hosted by South Africa. And that is sports. I am Emmanuel Fashimi.
And with that, we wrap up the news hour on Trust Television. Do not forget to follow us across all of our social platforms and catch our live stream on YouTube and Facebook for more news, programs, and documentaries. My name is Sagir Ibrahim. On behalf of the crew, have a good night.